Welcome to FanPark Live. You're talking to Chris from Touchline Fracker. This is FanPark Live, covering Saturday's Premier League games, powered by OneFootball and UK Soccer Shop. If you want to check out some of the gear that they have on UK Soccer Shop, we have our link on our website. If you look at the top right hand corner, I don't know if it'll be this way or this way, you should get 15% off some of the great gear that they have on there, from jerseys to boots to equipment and so on and so on. Anyway, main game that we're focusing on for the 3 p.m. kickoff is Spurs v Huddersfield. Huddersfield only 3 points off the relegation zone, which is a pretty big battle. 18th place team, Crystal Palace, I think it is. They've got a game in hand and they're only 3 points behind. So Huddersfield are scrapping for every point available to them in this 10-game stretch that we have going towards the end of the season. Spurs obviously trying to solidify their place in the top 4, going into the game with good form at home, playing a pretty strong team in the build-up for the second round of games in the Champions League this week coming, and they're 1-0 up thanks to Son, a goal on the 27th minute. So I really wanted to get some of your thoughts out there, your thoughts about how the game has been going so far, about Spurs' chances not only in the league and how high they can finish, but also in the Champions League, going back home with a nice 2-2 draw, 2 away goals against Juventus. So we'll give you a few stats off the OneFootball app, and then be able to kind of get a little bit more insight into the game. Okay, so scrolling through. Yes, yeah. So yeah, going through the game already, we can already see that Spurs predictably dominating possession with 75% of the ball, which is quite a lot, obviously. And I'm assuming with so much of the ball, they'd rather get a few more goals in just to make sure that the game is safe. Duels won, pretty even, 55%, 54% Huddersfield. Aerial duels won, 43% Huddersfield, and sorry, this is annoying me, and 57% aerial duels for Spurs. Total shots in total, I mean, Huddersfield haven't really threatened much with only 1 shot in total, while Spurs have got 8 in total, 5 of them being on target. And any more relevant stats? I mean, yeah, any more relevant stats? Again, it's just whether it be pass accuracy, long passes. Huddersfield obviously will be lower in terms of the amount of passes in total and long passes made. So it should kind of give us a better idea of the kind of game that they have tried to use against Spurs today. So I mean, looking at the league table in general, I mean, we tend to look at the higher end and not so much the lower end, and it's actually very tight there. So just to kind of have a look at Huddersfield's position at this point during the season in relation to the other teams, there are quite a few teams that are kind of scrapping it out to make sure they don't get relegated. So if we look at the bottom 8, so you've got Crystal Palace, Stoke City and West Brom in 18th, 19th and 20th. West Brom 6 points off Stoke City, but there's 27 points for Stoke City, Crystal Palace, 28 points for Southampton, 29 for Newcastle, 30 for Swansea and 30 for Huddersfield. And only 30 for West Ham, and only 31 for Brighton and Hove. So every point seems like it matters. Even a point with a team as highly placed as Spurs will be a fantastic result. And you know, Spurs are dominating the game so far. You know, Kane hasn't scored yet. Yeah. Okay. If you've been trying to give us a call, there's been a bit of a technical issue at the moment, so chances are you'll be able to get through to us at full time. So it'll just be a case of just me kind of going through the game and then going through each teams and seeing where they could be improving. Okay. So we'll have a look at some of the comments that you guys are putting on the live stream as well. If you've got any questions, throw them up on the stream there, and then I'll go through them and then I'll try to answer them and just get your thoughts on them. Just pull that up. Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be an interesting game regardless. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be an interesting game regardless. There we have. We're good now. So I mean, in terms of Spurs as well, I mean, we talked about Huddersfield and the kind of struggle that they have going into this game, and obviously going to the last stretch of the season. I want to get your thoughts on Spurs and seeing if they can finish second, because they're still in the running to finish as high as that, third or fourth. You know, what would be an achievement for Spurs? You know, is that enough considering how strong Liverpool have been, how strong Manchester United have been, relatively speaking, because they've still got quite a few points in comparison to how they've done before. Is finishing second good enough for Spurs at this point? Or do you feel like, albeit City have had an amazing season, and, you know, 30, I think it's what, in Pep's last 36 games, in City's last 36 games, they've won 30 of them. So the form that they're showing is remarkable. But at what point do Spurs fans feel like, okay, we need to be challenging for the title? And that doesn't just mean finishing second, but also in terms of the point differential between first and second place, how close that they can keep that campaign running going towards the back end of the season, and what their feelings are about facing Juventus and their chances in the Champions League. What is progress? What's the next step for Spurs fans? Because they're in that gap. I don't know if anyone saw an interview that Andres Villas-Boas gave in the last few days, and he spoke about it. He was speaking about Kane and the kind of club that he has to be at to fulfill his ambitions. You know, whether he wants to be an icon or a legend at Spurs and maybe not get the trophies that his talent warrants. So I do want to get your thoughts on that. Someone said, so Pochettino hasn't lost in 2018. How true is that? How true is that? How do you guys rate Pochettino as a coach, by the way? Because I get back and forth with it on my own podcast a lot on Touchline Fracas, and there's a few of us that always believe that like Pochettino should be seen as an elite coach, but then others that will be like, okay, well, what has he won? So my argument is I think he's a top coach, but I guess the argument is, what can... Okay, cool. So, I mean, yeah, going back to Pochettino, I mean, if someone is at a club where they don't have the biggest resources or the best players, will he be able to win trophies in a way that maybe a Real Madrid have been able to win trophies regularly, or a Barcelona, or a Bayern Munich, or a PSG? Is winning the major trophies the only way that we rate a top coach? Because Pochettino hasn't had that opportunity yet. And would it be realistic for football fans, let alone Spurs fans, to expect him to win the Premier League at Spurs, or the Champions League at Spurs, as they currently are? I do definitely want to get your thoughts on that. Like I said, we won't be able to take phone calls during this break, but definitely leave your comments on the YouTube link, on the live stream, because I'm looking through them now, and I'll respond. And don't be afraid to disagree. I mean, Pochettino came into England with a good rep. He was doing good things at Espanyol. I'm not going to pretend that I gave him the biggest pair of eyes or the most of my attention, but definitely when he got to Southampton, when he got rid of Neil Atkins, everyone was, you know, up in arms about it, said it was unfair, and then he took Southampton up a level. And then there was a similar thing when he took over at Spurs. People thought, okay, like, what can he do at Spurs? Because they were still competing for Champions League slots. They were still competing, you know, into trying to get into that, break into that title challenging tier under Villas-Boas and under Renat before him. So, yeah. Okay, cool. So now we're gonna cut me off and then go to the We Are Tottenham guys and then get their thoughts on it from real proper Tottenham fans, and then see what you think and give us your feedback.
What's up, UFF? It's half time at Wembley. It's Spurs 1, Huddersfield 0. We are completely in control in this game. We probably could have more than a goal. Sonny scored a lovely finish after Dele Alli puts him through one-on-one with the keeper. He rounds him, and it's a lovely finish into the far corner. But Harry Kane's had chances. Dele Alli's had chances. Eriksen's been man of the match so far, creating so much buzzing around. Huddersfield haven't had a sniff, and unfortunately for them, they've had 2 injuries in the first half, which could really hurt them in the second half if any sort of injuries continue. Unfortunately, former Spurs player Alex Pritchard was one of them, which is a shame. It was nice to see him back at Spurs. But Spurs complete control here at Wembley, so hopefully go out in the second half, get some more goals, and cement our place in third, extend the lead over Chelsea, who play Man City tomorrow. So exciting times for Tottenham. Absolutely fantastic. 1-0. Currently Spurs.
Okay, and we're back. So, yep, very much like we just had from our guys over at We Are Tottenham. Complete dominance from Spurs is to be expected, to be fair. At this point, I feel like Spurs are the kind of team that they put away sides that they should. And, you know, most of their players are in good form. I'd say Sanchez has been a revelation. Well, not a revelation to anyone that's from Ajax, but he's really, really fitted in well. At Spurs, he's slotted straight in. Dembele has been his consistent self. Eriksen has been quality. Ali actually, I think, has been underrated a lot in terms of his form last couple of months because we're so used to him scoring goals regularly and scoring, you know, important goals too for Spurs. And I think we've seen a variety of things from Ali, especially in terms of his creativity. I think some of his final balls and his ability to link play and slot other players in has been great, and he's done a lot more of that. And Son has been Son, Kane has been Kane. So I expect him to finish the season pretty strongly. I think, you know, it's a routine win for Spurs. I'll be very surprised if Huddersfield get back into it because they just don't have the talent for it, quite frankly. And they're not playing at White Hart Lane, but they've been pretty strong at home as of late, or this year in general. So more to expect from them. Let's go back to the stream and then see what you guys have to say. Wow, someone said Pochettino. Let me actually give him a shout out. Okay, well, Celtic Fan TV have said Pochettino is a better manager than Guardiola, which I find. I mean, I'm the wrong guy to really talk about this. I'm incredibly biased because I'm a Guardiola fanatic. But Pochettino, a better manager. I think the reason people would be saying that, the only reason you could say that really is because they could say, okay, well, look what Pochettino has achieved with teams that haven't had the resources of the players that a Guardiola that would have had, or a Zidane would have had. And yeah, I mean, that's valid to a degree, but I think if you look at the consistency of Guardiola's teams in general, which is something that I think a lot of football fans don't really rate or think about when it comes to coaches that have very, very talented teams. It isn't so much the coaching making them better players, it's the consistency and getting them to be as motivated over a long time. And then you have a lot of managers that do well, and their players would speak highly of them, but it's always different with ex-players of Guardiola's tenures. They tend to talk about how much he's improved them. So I do think we can't underrate his coaching in that realm. And I think it's easy to look at managers with lesser teams that do well and say he's better than a Guardiola or a Zidane. It's understandable, but I mean, at this point, I don't know. I couldn't ride with that, personally speaking. Ryan, no, you still can't call in at the moment, but definitely keep trying us at full time. Yeah. What else? So Jack Turner asks, do you think Guardiola could manage a team that are mid-table and don't have the resources financially like Man City, Bayern and Barca had? I think he can manage them, but if you're asking, could he manage a team like that and then they could achieve anything closer to success that he's achieved at Barcelona, Bayern Munich and, you know, what's looking likely to be Manchester City? Sorry, need to fix this thing. Yeah, like, he's not going to achieve that kind of success. And it's like, okay, then the discussion becomes, what's success for a team that's supposed to finish 4th to 6th place? What does success look like for a team that finishes mid-table? So let's say you took over Southampton, for example. I mean, they've finished 6th to 8th quite a lot. Last few seasons, obviously, they're not doing, or they're doing terrible this season. But let's say you took a team like that, or an Everton, I think success for them would be taking them up to the next level. So taking them into contention for Europa League spot or a Champions League spot. I think if you gave him 3 to 5 years, he could take them that far. And, you know, does it look like success comparative to a Manchester City or a Manchester United or a Chelsea? No, but I think then the discussion becomes, okay, why do we only look at success as trophies? Trophies could be the ultimate success, obviously, because that's the finish line. But, you know, it's not a level playing field and, you know, you don't necessarily want it to be. That's the nature of competition. Yeah. So I hope that answer was pretty cool. So we're gonna go back to the game now, and if you obviously check us out, go on the website. We're obviously powered by OneFootball, so I need you guys to download the app on Android and on Apple App Store, and yeah, keep on getting on the stream. Definitely for full time, because the phones should be working by then, and then be able to talk properly, and we can have a nice back and forth. And yeah, enjoy the second half.